Your like and subscribe to my channel would really be appreciated. Subscription is free, and it only takes a moment of your time. Welcome to another research video by Beefeater fella, where I summarize and analyze credible reporting. Please remember to do your own research. See my Twitter thread on this subject for references and sources to speed up your research. One last thing. The videos and images do not necessarily relate to the topic. They are for the most part stock images. This video focuses on Vladimir Putin's illusionary economics. Want to know more? Stay tuned to learn about Putin's illusionary economics and the weaponization of economic data by Putin and his regime back in 2023. CITE have now published a report confirming the economic propaganda being propagated by Russia, which I raised in 2022 and 2023. This video highlights the questionable reliance of Putin's Russian economy claims, taken at face value and parroted by many media, organizations and publications, as well as institutions such as the World Bank and the IMF, who project views that are based on Putin's carefully crafted and opaque economic indicators. Firstly, a little background on a report published by a credible research institute called CITE. CITE was set up as a research institute at the Stockholm School of Economics in 1989 with the mandate of studying developments in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe. Today, CITE is a leading research-based policy institute on these issues. CITE has also built a network of research institutes in the region that includes the Kyiv School of Economics, or KSE. KSE not only provides a premier economics education to future leaders in Ukraine, but is also involved in the analysis of the Ukrainian as well as the Russian economy, including analysis of the role of sanctions in limiting Russia's destructive capacity. KSE has been an important contributor of data and analysis that underlies this report. My followers and supporters will know I often publish threads on the misleading and fake economic data emanating from Putin's regime, and the principle of bad data in equals bad data and analysis out. For those who are not aware of the problem, you can find the link to this original thread on Twitter, which contains links to my other research deep dives into Russian illusionary and propaganda economics. Disinformation is one of the Kremlin's most important and far-reaching weapons. Russia has operationalized the concept of perpetual adversarial competition in the information environment by encouraging the development of a disinformation and propaganda ecosystem. This ecosystem creates and spreads false narratives to strategically advance the Kremlin's policy goals. There is no subject off-limits to this fire hose of falsehoods. Everything from human rights and environmental policy to assassinations and civilian killing bombing campaigns are fair targets in Russia's malign playbook. Truth disarms Russia's disinformation weapons. The Kremlin creates and spreads disinformation in an attempt to confuse and overwhelm people about Russia's real actions in Ukraine, Georgia, and elsewhere in Europe. Because the truth is not in the Kremlin's favor, Russia's intelligence services create, task, and influence websites that pretend to be news outlets to spread lies and sow discord. Disinformation is a quick and fairly cheap way to destabilize societies and set the stage for potential military action. Despite having been exposed for engaging in these malign activities countless times, Russia continues to work counter to international norms and global stability. October 2024, Site Analysis and Report. Russian economic statistics should be treated with caution. Official statistics, such as GDP growth and inflation rates, have been manipulated to support the narrative that the Russian economy is stable, but alternative measures suggest a different reality. Mounting economic imbalances. an increasingly inconsistent mix of fiscal stimulus and monetary tightening in Russia's economic policies may lead to an economic crisis. Dependence on oil prices. The price of oil remains a critical factor for Russia's economic health, with any drop in oil prices directly impacting the country's foreign exchange revenues, inflation, and overall economic stability. A shrinking financial cushion. The report warns that the Russian government's financial reserves, which have been used to finance war expenditures, are depleting rapidly and could run out within a year. Once these reserves are exhausted, the central bank will face pressure to loosen its key interest rate, or even resort to printing more money, leading to potentially high inflation and a weakened ruble. According to Rosstat, Russia's state statistics agency, Russia's GDP shrank by just 1.2% in 2022, 6 times less than the government had predicted at the start of the war, before supposedly rebounding by 3.6% in 2023 and 4.6% in the first half of 2024. However, NIR's analysis suggests that Russian authorities are understating a key economic parameter, inflation. Rosstat reports that the consumer price index rose by 11.9% in 2022, 7.4% in 2023, and 5.8% between January and September 2024, amounting to a total increase of 27.1% since the start of the war. However, alternative inflation metrics indicate much higher figures, according to NIR. Romia, an analytics company that tracks real consumption patterns in Russia, found that the price index for everyday goods surged by 33.4% in the first year of the war, 23.2% in the second year, and another 13.7% in the first 9 months of 2024. In total, inflation has soared by 87%. When Russia's GDP growth is adjusted using Romia's inflation data instead of official figures, NIER estimates that the reported 3.6% growth in 2023 actually translates to an 8.7% contraction. The economists also applied 3 other alternative models to evaluate Russia's economy, and none showed growth. GDP, calculated based on the dollar price of oil, fell by 1.9% last year. Based on the ruble price of oil, it dropped by 8.2%. And a model correlating with US GDP indicated a 10.9% decline. Another indication that Russia's official inflation rate is understated is the policy of the central bank, NIR suggests. Since mid-2023, the bank has raised the key interest rate 7 times, reaching 19% annually, and is expected to raise it again in October to 20%. Some banks are preparing for a rate of 21%, a level not seen in Russia even during major crises in the past 2 decades. Currently, the key rate exceeds the official inflation rate, 8.6%, by more than 10 percentage points. Such a large gap hasn't been seen since the early 2000s. At the same time, inflation reported by Rosstat is almost the same as in December 2021, 8.4%, but the central bank kept the key rate at 8.5% back then. This raises questions about either the latest inflation figures or the central bank's competence, the NIR report states. Conclusions. The economic indicators and data selectively released by Russia are misleading, inaccurate, opaque, and in many instances the key metrics and projections are just plain false. They are designed by Putin's criminal regime to mislead the Russian population and the rest of the world, and paint a positive picture of a failing economy and the true cost of Putin's war in Ukraine. Putin decreed economic reporting a state secret back in December 2022 for these reasons. Since then, professionals and institutions have parroted every figure subsequently released by the FSB-controlled Rosstat, central bank, and other financial institutions in Russia. This has resulted in an overlooking of the simple principle of bad data in equals bad data out, which results in widely published and unproven statistical analysis and claims on the Russian economy. I say again, believe nothing published by Putin's regime. Both indicators on the economy, as well as other key indicators, such as the state of the sovereign wealth fund, should be discounted. The economy is in a much worse position, but how much worse, one can only speculate. Ditto the state of the wealth fund, which I believe is understated, as Putin and his private military contractors, Africa Corps, previously known as Wagner PMC, have been stripping the African continent of its strategic wealth in gold and diamonds for decades. I suggest consideration should be given to a much larger than admitted or thought revenue stream in these opaque and critical resources. This suggests more capacity to weather the fiscal and GDP shocks currently hidden from scrutiny. That's all for this video, folks. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me for the report. Remember, you can find sources and references in my full thread. On Twitter, there is a link to my thread in the comments section of this video. You can also find many other research videos and daily Russian chat translations on my YouTube channel, so please don't forget to subscribe and view my other interesting content. Have a great day, folks. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I also leave comments open for feedback, which I really appreciate. You can view my original posts in much more detail on Twitter. Follow me at Beefeater_fella. My research threads also include full references and sources to speed up your own research. Did you know that I also provide daily updates and deep dive research videos on a range of interesting subjects, including economics, geopolitics, sanctions, circumventions, fossil fuel updates, and much more? If you are able to support me with a coffee or subscription on Patreon, I do provide links in the description of the video. I really appreciate all the support I can get towards my research, equipment, and publication costs. Thank you. To those who have supported me on Patreon or Buy Me Coffee, you are simply awesome. Your regular support is really appreciated. Remember, folks, the YouTube edition of my Russian Telegram chat translations is released every night at midnight, UK time. Have a great day. I look forward to your next visit.